the second part of this question is the first part was where is the most amount of diversity in your life, and the second part is then can you find where there is the least amount of diversity in your life. Again, this could be in your own thinking, maybe ideas, maybe exposure to different things, maybe in your family, in your work. But where can you identify where the least amount of diversity is? And I always want us to look at our own ecosystem first. So, if there's like for me, I would say language. I feel like there's a huge lack of diversity in my inability to speak different languages. So that's sort of one example. Where's the most amount of diversity and where's the least amount of diversity. And so this idea that diversity asks us to consider who we are in our various roles, it's interesting to kind of work with this in a little bit different way, or I would say a deeper way, if you start to give some contemplation time to, who are you as a conservationist? Who are you as a global citizen? And what does that mean to you? What are the qualities that you bring to that particular role? And that's kind of interesting to sort of step back and look at, because there's places that you might have not considered that would be a part of that role, or there may be things that you're bringing to that role that may not actually really be appropriate for that role, so that it hinders you from really stepping into it fully. And again, the example I'll use is we're all here sort of, we'll say you're at a workshop and the people that come to that table, you come with the conservationist archetype. You're there at the table as a conservationist talking about a particular issue, and someone brings in the mother archetype or the father archetype, or a sibling type of archetype, so that the discussions take on a different feel, less formal or professional or mature. So that's what I mean by considering, who you are in these different roles, and then when you bring those roles to the table, are you aware of who you're bringing to the table? And you said something earlier that I thought was also interesting and important. You picked up on that we're asking ourselves, to know thyself. Who are we? And of course, that was the Greek sages asked that, to know thyself meant more than to know your name, your family lineage, and where you were from. Ultimately, it meant to know that you were going to die, that you weren't a god or goddess, that you were mortal. And there's something in that, I think, knowing our mortality gives us just an urgency to our work here. So who are you as a global citizen? And one way to work with this, I should just mention, you probably already know this, to work with who you are in any role is that you name the role and you just start listing qualities that you think are associated with that role. It's a really good way to sort of ferret out what you think are associated with that particular role. Whether it's being a conservationist, a mother, father, a sister, wife, partner, team leader, president. Okay, so then my next question is for you to think about is, how could diversity be a threat? How could diversity be a threat? How could someone perceive diversity as threatening to them personally, to their program, to their organization, to their culture, to their tribe, to their nation? So the idea that if diversity brings opportunity, then you can ask the same question, how can opportunity be perceived as a threat? So anybody want to share how you think diversity could be perceived as a threat, or how you experienced that? Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm on the right path, but what came to my mind in terms of how diversity can be perceived to be a threat is loss of control, fear of domination, fear of integration. So that's the domination really to the point that loss of identity, the loss of one's perspective and what one brings through the integration into the mainstream or the dominant culture, whatever it might be. I also think there's something about the ego in there. I would think more about that. Just thinking about how opportunity can be seen as a threat. I think it's about loss of control also, and fear of being swallowed up. Or whatever it is that's different. Fear of change.
Over here?
Yeah, I was just sharing here with my table my personal experience about diversity in my life, and I was just saying that diversity can be a source of conflict also, or imbalance, or because too much diversity sometimes you don't know anymore, who you are, or it brings some identity problems, So exposure to different cultures since you were born, and then actually that leads you to follow that path of wanting to also be even more exposed to more diversity. Is something that I felt, but it is it does bring some identity, not knowing sometimes in what direction I should go, and so. I wish I could say all this in one of my two languages, which are either Spanish or French, because I do feel a different person when I speak in Spanish and another person when I feel in French. So I don't always find the word that I want to use in English.
You did a beautiful job with that, so it's a very interesting example. Too much diversity, the potential for loss of identity. Too much exposure to whatever it is, culture or language or ideas. Where do we lose ourselves in that? Do you have a sense of what happens in that? Where you lose identity in that? Do you have a sense of that? I was going to ask you to share with us what you thought.
Yeah, I do have a sense of that, especially when I come to places like this. But actually, I do meet a lot of people here that are in a situation where they were born in a country, they were based out of a different country, and you know, I have met a couple of people, and it's interesting for me to realize that I'm not the only one in that situation. But yes, this kind of event makes me realize that if I come to a table, as you say, you know, okay, who am I, am I coming, as a French, as a Spanish, I think I'm coming first as a human being, with my, interest in conservation, environmental issues, because I have developed that, I have awareness through the years, and that just me. So I tried not to come as either French or Spanish, or because I live in Canada, but as someone, just a human being, not a man or a woman, a human being interested. And because I have that in me, so it's kind of...
And that's such a great example, thank you for that, because, I think when that we do bring the human forward, we come to the table as the human being, though, other parts of us get activated because of the discussion or, the situation at the table. Did you find that at all, where maybe another part of you was activated because of the discussion?
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, it's there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it kind of stops me, or puts me in a situation where I'm a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah, of course, there's always.
Yeah.
I mean.
Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? How diversity or opportunity can be perceived as a threat or uncomfortable?
I guess I'll share story about myself, just relating in the cultural sense that we migrated to Australia when I was very young from Central Europe. My parents were from Czechoslovakia, and I used to take, my mum would give me rye bread and ham sandwiches. Now, no one ever heard of rye bread in the 1970s unless you were a European packer. I used to throw them in the bin because I didn't want to be seen as different. I would have been happy with jam or Vegemite sandwiches and white bread. So, I think those stories of trying to fit in, to not be diverse, but actually to be assimilated into this very Anglo-Celtic culture. Yeah. Australia was something that I wanted to be part of, but that still is such a dominant stream of Australia's story. So that's the side.
And we can certainly see how that works on a global scale when we're doing work in different countries. We're bringing our dominant, culture with us into another culture, and are we sensitive to that, or not? So depending on how we move in that world, if we offend or violate or exacerbate situations, and we're completely not aware that we did that just by bringing another culture through us into the situation. But I'm sure you've all experienced that already. So this idea of diversity then bringing opportunity, which of course can inform us. Opportunity and diversity can inform us. It gives us information about ourselves, about the community or the world that we're in. It influences our emotions, how we feel about something, not just how we think about it. And ultimately, it can provide an opportunity for repatterning our brain. And when we repattern the brain, we're creating new synapses, we're firing off new ways of feeling and thinking about something. And so we're changing. We're changing a way that we would maybe have historically or traditionally felt or thought about something to a new way. You may change we change our mind. I've changed my mind about that. And actually that metaphor works. You did repattern something in your brain. But I want to be clear here that when we create new patterns, or when we change a story, or when we change our mind, it doesn't mean that story goes away. When we change archetypes from, leader of the organization, or president of the organization, to you go home and you're a mother or father that night, you're changing archetypes. It doesn't mean, the leader completely goes off into, some sort of cyberland. Those feelings and qualities are still present. So you may want to change a story, you may want to change an attitude or behavior about yourself, and you do so. It doesn't mean that old one just completely disappears. It will still be there, and it can still be triggered and activated, and we'll talk more about that at the end of the day, and how we understand that, and how we work with that, and how we become aware of that. Archetypes don't die. They just come back with a new face. Okay. So, can you recall, and here's your last question on this section here, can you recall when you might have felt threatened by change? Maybe it was as recent as this week, something came up, or before you left, or in your past. Can you recall when your ecosystem felt threatened by a change? Anybody have a story on that? Still thinking about it? Yeah. We got time for everybody.
I used to work for ACN and the headquarters, and I worked with the Commission on Education and Communication, who are volunteers. And the way we saw our role was to help ACN to think about bringing communication, education thinking at the beginning of a program or project, to plan it in and help you plan much better the approach. And one day my Director General came to me and sat down in my office and said, I want CEC to get our messages out by ACN, which largely is a corporate communication role, it seemed to me. That was my frame of looking at it. And he wasn't really understanding the frame we were trying to project, but he was my Director General. So if you don't get my messages out, you're out. I mean, was sort of the, you can say that, but you have to satisfy your Director General. And so that was a very a threat of change.
Can I ask, really, was it the change that threatened you, or was it the way he approached you with the demand?
I think I had a sense he'd throw me out if I didn't do it. Yeah, he was restructuring, so everybody's job was on the line.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was very much that underlying threat of doing this job. And and I knew my network was a volunteer network. They're not able to come and get into the corporate mind of IUCN very well. But in a way you were saying, yes, you wanted us to sort of take an end of the pipe, well, we've done this project, we've done this nice story, so go tell it to the world type of thing. So it was a very conflicted sort of feeling for me how to manage that process. Fortunately, he lived before me.
See, some ecosystems just manage themselves, Good. Any stories at this table? Okay. All right. So when we think about, diversity or change, not so much change yet, we're going to move into that, but diversity or opportunity and how we're threatened by that. We're actually saying, there's a new experience coming at me, a new experience that can produce something in me that I'm not sure about, that I don't know how I would respond or how I feel about that. And that is, of course, scary, threatening. To some people that's terrifying. So it's not only interesting to hold that within ourselves and know about ourselves, but also know that we're at a table or negotiations or whatever the situation is in our work, that other people could be potentially feeling the same thing. And so when you think you hit up against a rigidity or a brick wall, you may be hitting up a feeling of fear of change. So it's not, I'm not advocating to go in and rush in and fix that or anything. I'm just saying it's something to be aware of, because these are things that break down communication. Because when we hit that, we all of a sudden withdraw. Potentially. Withdraw from that. So, but the opportunities can also emerge in these moments. Opportunities to get to know ourselves a little bit better. Opportunities to observe how we're responding or reacting. There's a difference in if we react to something or do we respond.